Hello everyone. So we were discussing module 4, that is measurement systems. So intermediate, modifying and terminating devices. So in the last session we have discussed the definition of measurement, significance of measurement, so then requirements. So then we have discussed one important topic, that is generalized measurement system. So basic elements of generalized measurement system. So then we have discussed one more topic, that is static characteristics of measurement system. In this session we will discuss the dynamic characteristics of measurement system. So then we will discuss the types of errors in the measurements. So then transducers. Okay. So already we have discussed the definition of measurement. So what do you mean by measurement? So measurement is a process of comparison of unknown physical quantity with the known physical quantity. It is called as measurement. So for any measurement process we know that standard is compulsory. So then we have discussed the generalized measurement system. So the elements of generalized measurement systems are: the first one, detector transducer element; second one, intermediate modifying element; and last one, terminating device. The function of detector transducer element is to detect the physical quantity to be measured. So then it converts that in analogous output form. The intermediate modifying element, it takes the data from the detector transducer stage and it manipulates the data as per the requirement. And finally the terminating device, it displays the result in the readable form to the human being. And we have discussed some static characteristics. Okay, here the static characteristics are considered when we are applying constant input signal to the measuring instrument. The static characteristics of measuring instruments are like accuracy, precision, calibration, sensitivity, threshold, so hysteresis, etc. So now we will discuss the dynamic characteristics of measuring instruments. The dynamic characteristics are considered when the variable input is applied to the measuring instruments. Okay, here in the diagram, so we are seeing the variable inputs. So in the diagram, so okay, here we are seeing the sine wave input, ramp input and step inputs. So these are all the variable inputs. When these inputs are applied to the measuring instrument, so then we will consider the dynamic characteristics. Now, the dynamic characteristics of measuring instruments are system response, amplitude response, frequency response and speed of response. So what do you mean by system response? So system response means how output is faithful to the input. Suppose if output signals have same phase relationship. Okay, here if the output signals have same phase relationship as that of input signal, then the system is said to have good response. Say example, suppose the input signal is sine wave, output signal is also sine wave. That means, okay, here the output signals have same phase relationship as that of input, then the input is said to have good response. Suppose one more example, suppose if input is square wave, output is also a square wave. So, okay, suppose, okay, here if you are applying, this is the input signal form, this is the input signal form to the measuring instrument. Okay, here this is the input signal. Suppose if output signal, it is also in square wave form. Okay, here there is no distortion in the output signal, then the system is said to have good response. Suppose if output signals are distorted means, okay, here there is no phase relationship as that of input signal, then the system is said to have bad response. Okay, here in the diagram, so we are seeing the bad response. Okay, here I am sending the input signal which is in square wave form, but in the output we have distorted output signal. Okay, as you are seeing the diagram, we have distorted output wave. Distort means there is no phase relationship. Okay, here, so this is the square wave signal. Suppose if we get the output signal like this. Suppose if we get the output signal like this. So okay, here we have distorted output. So distort output, then the system is said to have bad response. So this is about the system response. System response means how output is faithful to the input. If the output signals have same phase relationship as that of input signal, then the system is said to have good response. So this is about the system response. Next, move on to amplitude response and frequency response. The system is said to have good amplitude response when it treats all input amplitudes uniformly. Then the system is said to have good amplitude response. The system is said to have good amplitude response when it treats all the input frequencies uniformly. So then the system is said to have good amplitude response. Frequency response. The system is said to have good frequency response when it treats all input frequencies. So with equal faithfulness. Then the system is said to have good frequency response. So the last one, speed of response. So what do you mean by speed of response? So speed of response is defined as the speed at which the measuring instrument responds to the input signal. Say example, so when you are applying some input to the measuring instrument, so the measuring instrument, it takes some time to respond to the output signal. So then the system is said to have some time delay. Okay, here, so in the speed of response, we will discuss a concept of time delay. So here, as you are seeing in the diagram, in the first diagram, okay, here I am applying the input signal to the measuring instrument. As soon as you apply input signal to the measuring instrument, so immediately I will going to get the output signal. So as you are seeing in the first diagram, okay, here I am applying the input signal to the measuring instrument, so immediately I am going to get the output signal. So without any time gap, without any time delay. So this is called as zero time delay. So zero time delay, as you are seeing in the diagram. That means the measuring instrument is not taking any time in order to respond to the input signal. So next, look at the second diagram. In the second diagram, so we have the delta t. So we have delta t time. So delta t time, okay, here the measuring instrument takes some time in order to respond to the input signal, and that is called as time delay. Okay, here we are applying input signal to the measuring instrument. You are applying an input signal to the measuring instrument, but here instantaneously the measuring instrument is not at all giving any output signal. It takes some time. And that time is called as time delay, that is denoted by delta t. So these are all about the dynamic characteristics of measuring instrument. So speed of response means the speed at which the measuring instrument responds to the input signal. If the measuring instrument does not respond to the input signal instantaneously, then it takes some time delay. Then it is said the measuring instrument is said to have some time delay. So these are all about the dynamic characteristics of measuring instruments. Next, move on to the second topic, types of errors. So error is defined as, error is defined as the difference between true value and measured value. So error is defined as the difference between true value and measured value. Now let us discuss the different types of errors. Okay, here we have systematic errors, random errors and gross errors. So what do you mean by systematic errors? So systematic errors are constant in nature and repetitive in nature. So these errors are occurs due to improper function and procedures. So these errors can be identified and eliminated. Say example, suppose calibration error. Suppose if you not calibrate the instrument properly, then okay, here a constant error occurs in the measuring instrument. So these errors are constant in nature and repetitive in nature. So these errors are occurs because of improper functioning and procedures. Now let us discuss the types of systematic errors. Okay, here we have instrumental errors, environmental errors, observational errors and calibration errors. Now let us discuss one by one. So what do you mean by instrumental errors? Suppose if instrument is not designed properly or not maintained properly, then obviously, okay, here we have instrumental errors. It is constant in nature and repetitive in nature. So in order to eliminate the instrumental errors, so we need to design instrument properly, and so we need to maintain the instrument. We need to maintain the instrument properly. Second one, environmental errors. Environmental errors occurs due to variations in temperature, pressure, humidity, etc. So therefore, environmental errors can be reduced by maintaining constant temperature or proper optimum temperature and humidity in the labs. Then observational errors. So as you are seeing in the diagram, observational error, okay, here observational error occurs due to observation of wrong reading or taking wrong data. It is also called as parallax error. Usually the parallax errors occurs in line standards. So the last one, calibration error. So calibration means what? So calibration means comparing the measuring instrument with the standard in order to maintain the accuracy of measuring instrument. Suppose if you not done any calibration to the measuring instrument, then a constant error is associated with measuring instruments. So therefore, in order to get the proper reading, we should calibrate the measuring instrument frequently. So in order to eliminate the calibration errors. So this is all about the systematic errors. Okay, here we have instrumental errors. Instrumental error means the instrumental error occurs due to improper design and maintenance of measuring instrument. So environmental error occurs due to variations in pressure, humidity and temperature. Observation error means so taking the wrong reading. So finally the calibration error. Calibration errors means suppose if instrument is not calibrated properly, a constant error repeatedly associated with measuring instruments. So next move on to the second one, random errors. So what do you mean by random errors? So random error, so as the name indicates, so these errors are occurs accidentally and they are random in nature. So random errors are inherent in the measuring instruments, So these errors cannot be eliminated 100%. So okay, here the random errors cannot be eliminated. So these are inconsistent in nature, whereas systematic errors are consistent in nature, whereas random errors are inconsistent in nature. Then what are the sources of random errors? Okay, here mainly we have two sources. The first one, slight displacement in the joints of measuring instruments, and second one, friction in the measuring instrument. These two are main sources of random errors. So random errors occurs randomly and they are accidental in nature. So these errors are inherent in the measuring instrument and these errors cannot be eliminated. The sources of random errors are slight displacement in the joints of measuring instruments. Next one, friction in the measuring instruments. The last one, gross errors. So gross errors occurs because of human mistakes. So example, a person using measuring instrument, he may take wrong data or wrong reading. So that is called as gross error. Say example, so in the temperature reading, say the actual temperature is 21.5 degrees centigrade. This is the actual temperature. But the person, he may take 21 degrees centigrade or 22 degrees centigrade. So because of wrong observation. So and that is called as gross errors. So gross errors can be eliminated by taking the reading carefully and by taking the reading in multiple times. So we can eliminate the gross errors. So this is all about the types of errors in the measurements. Systematic errors, random errors and gross errors. Okay, so next move on to the next topic, transducers. So what do you mean by transducer? So transducer is a device which converts one form of energy into another form. As you are seeing in the diagram, so transducer is a device which converts one form of energy into another form. Now let us define the transducer with respect to the mechanical measurement and metrology. Transducer device which converts the physical quantity to be measured into analogous output form. So the best example for transducer is thermocouple. So thermocouple is a transducer. So it converts the temperature into voltage. Load cell. So load cell is a transducer. It converts the force into voltage. LVDT, linear variable differential transducer. So it converts the mechanical displacement into voltage. So transducer is a device which converts the physical quantity to be measured into output analogous form. Now let us discuss the definition of transfer efficiency. So what do you mean by transfer efficiency? So transfer efficiency is defined as the ratio of information delivered by the transducer to the information received by the transducer. Okay, here transfer efficiency. So transfer efficiency is defined as the ratio of information delivered by the transducer to the information so received by the transducer. So transfer efficiency, it cannot be greater than unity. So transducer must be designated with high transfer efficiency. High transfer efficiency. Okay, so next we'll discuss the classification of transducers. Okay, here in the classification of transducers, okay, here first one we have, so primary and secondary transducers. Primary and secondary transducer. Second one, active and passive transducers. Active and passive transducers. Next one, so analog and digital transducers. Analog and digital transducers. So next one, so mechanical transducers. Next, electrical transducers. Electrical transducers, and last one, electronic transducers. So these are all different types of transducers. Primary and secondary transducers, active and passive transducers. So analog and digital transducers, mechanical transducers, electrical transducers, and electronic transducers. Let us discuss one by one. So most of the measurement system consists of mechanical and electrical transducers. The first one, mechanical transducer, which detects the physical quantity to be measured and converts that into equivalent mechanical form, and which is called as primary transducer. And second one, secondary transducer, so electrical transducer, which converts the mechanical signal into electrical signal, and which is called as secondary transducer. So let us understand the primary and secondary transducer with an example. Okay, here as you are seeing in the diagram. Okay, here in the diagram we have a C-type board and tube. The C-type board and tube, which converts the pressure into displacement, and it acts as primary transducer. It converts the pressure into displacement. Next, here we have LVDT. So LVDT, it converts the displacement into voltage, and that acts as secondary transducers. So most of the measurement system consists of mechanical and electrical transducers. So the mechanical transducer, which detects the physical quantity to be measured and converts that into equivalent mechanical form, and which is called as primary transducer. So electrical transducer converts the mechanical signal into electrical signal, and that is called as secondary transducers. So that can be understood from the diagram. Second one, active transducer and passive transducer. Active transducer means, okay, here those transducers do not require any external power supply for their operation. So example, piezoelectrical transducer. Whereas passive transducer requires external power supply for their operations. Say example, load cell, strain gauge, thermocouple, etc. So active transducer means, so they do not require any external power supply for their operations. So piezoelectrical transducer is the best example for active transducer, whereas passive transducer means, okay, here they do not require any, so passive transducer requires external power supply for their operations. Next one, we have analog transducer and digital transducer. So analog transducer converts the input signal into analogous form, which is continuous function of time. Whereas digital transducer, so digital transducer converts the input signal into pulses. Okay. And next one, we have mechanical transducers. So mechanical transducer, which detects the physical quantity to be measured and converts that into mechanical form. So example, displacement. Okay, here in the mechanical transducer we have different types. Okay, here as you are seeing in the diagram, so the figure shows the types of mechanical transducers. Okay, here we have force and torque sensitive element, and the second one, pressure sensitive element. The force sensitive elements are spring and proving rings. The pressure sensors or the torque sensitive elements are torsional bars. And the pressure sensitive element, as we are seeing in the diagram, the pressure sensitive elements are, okay, board and tubes, so diaphragms and bellows. Now let us discuss the working of mechanical transducer. Okay, here the first one, force sensitive elements. The force sensitive elements are spring and proving ring. Okay, here when the force to be measured is applied to the spring or proving ring, they undergo deflection. This deflection is proportional to the applied force. So this deflection can be measured, and the measured deflection, it can be taken as the measurement of force. Okay, here as you are seeing in the diagram, okay, here we have spring and proving ring. So when the force is applied to the spring, when you apply force, when you apply tensile force to the spring, so it undergo deflection. That deflection is proportional to the applied force. That deflection can be measured, and the deflection, it can be taken as measurement of force. Similarly, torque sensitive element, example torsional bar. So okay, here in the diagram you have torsional bar. So when we apply a torque at the free end of the torsional bar, it undergo deflection. That deflection is again proportional to the applied torque, and that can be measured, and the measured deflection, it can be taken as measurement of torque. So this is about the force sensitive element and torque sensitive element. So next we have a pressure sensitive element. So in the pressure sensitive element, we have Bourdon tubes. We have different types of Bourdon tube as you are seeing in the diagram. So we have C type, helical type and spring type. And we have diaphragms and bellows. Now let us discuss the general working principle of pressure sensitive element. Pressure sensitive elements are elastic members. So when we apply pressure to the pressure sensitive elements or elastic members, they undergo deflection. So that deflection is used to move the pointer on the calibrated scale, and that deflection, it can be taken as the measurement of pressure. So all pressure sensitive elements are elastic members. So example for pressure sensitive elements are Bourdon tube. Okay, in the Bourdon tube we have different type like C type, helical type and spiral type. And we have diaphragms and bellows. So when the pressure to be measured is applied, so it's applied to the elastic members, they undergo deflection, and the deflection, it can be measured. So by using pointer and scale arrangement, and that can be the measured deflection, it can be taken a measurement of pressure. So this is all about the mechanical transducers. So next let us discuss the electrical transducer. So in the electrical transducer, okay, here electrical transducer converts the physical quantity to be measured into equivalent electrical form like current or voltage. So we have different types of electrical transducer. The table shows the different types of electrical transducer. Okay, here we have mainly 5 types of electrical transducers: resistance type, inductance type, capacitance type, so piezoelectrical transducer and photoelectrical transducers. So in the resistance type transducers, we have a mechanically varied resistant transducer and thermally varied resistant transducer. In the inductance types, we have self-inductance transducer and mutual inductance transducer and variable reluctant transducer. So next in capacitance transducer, we have variable distance capacitive transducer. So then in photoelectrical transducer, we have photoemissive transducer and photovoltaic transducer. So these are all the different types of electrical transducers.